Hey everyone, and welcome back to the I Find Auto Parts channel. I'm Dan, and today we are going to be discussing routine maintenance. Whether you're on a tighter budget and you want to use aftermarket, non-genuine parts, or if you want to use genuine OEM manufacturer specified products, we are going to show you how to do your basic maintenance. Are you on the hunt for the ideal auto part? Check these bad boys. Look no further than I Find Auto Parts, where every part has its place, connecting people and parts. Today we're going to be running through maintenance on this Mark 7 GTD. Now, it's always a smart move to stick to your car's maintenance schedule, but let's be honest, sometimes we give our motors a right thrashing and they need a little bit of extra TLC. Today we'll be covering general inspections, fluid checks and top-ups, filters, the electrical system. We're going to have a visibility check, tyre maintenance, tyre pressure and tread depth, and then we're going to give it a clean and a detail. I'll be using parts sourced from I Find Auto Parts to complete all of the maintenance, and to make things easier, if there's any specific section you're interested in, feel free to jump ahead. Just use the slide bar across the bottom and check the description below to find the segment that is most relevant to you. Now, I know that was a lot. There's a lot of valuable information coming, so stick with me. Right, let's kick off with a look under the bonnet. First things first, we're checking the belts and hoses. Today we're not going to do that on the Mark 7 GTD because it's already been recently done, but I will show you on my Skyline as it's actually easier to show you. Belts are the lifeline of your electricals and engine. What we're hunting for here is cracking. The technical spec is 4 cracks per inch, but honestly, if you see any significant cracking, it is better to be safe than sorry. Get it replaced. You're also checking for any fraying and making sure that the tension feels right. You don't want it too loose nor too tight. If you need to change your serpentine belt, first things first, grab a pen and paper. It's handy to sketch out the belt routing before you dive in, or take a photo on your phone. Locate the tensioner pulley by giving the belt a little tug. You'll spot that the pulley moves, that's your tensioner. To get this belt off, you'll need a special tool like a gear wrench serpentine tool. We're not going to do a full guide on this, but if you'd like to see me bust my knuckles on some rusty Japanese car, comment below. Once you've hooked up the tool to the tensioner pulley, give it a pull down and it will loosen the belt. You can then easily slip off the belt, but remember, safety first. You don't want to trap your fingers. Grab your new belt and slip it on. These bad boys don't actually have a set mileage for change. It's more of an as needed basis, but a good rule of thumb is to give them a once over every time you have an oil change. Now, onto the hoses. Hoses can get spongy or, on the flip side, brittle over time. Give them a good squeeze. If it sounds like a packet of Rice Krispies or they feel soggy, it's time for a swap. Hoses deteriorate from the inside out, making it tricky to spot the issues just from a glance. Keep an eye out for any blisters, cuts, signs of any small leaks. If you spot any of these, it is best to replace them immediately. And don't forget to use a flashlight for a better look. Now, before you grab your replacement hose, let's talk about how to choose the right one. Firstly, check the diameter and the length of your old hose. It's essential to match these dimensions for a proper fit. You want to ensure you are using the correct hose. You can use a tape measure for accuracy. Also, take any note of any unique bends or shapes that are designed to fit specific areas of your engine. Once the hoses are in place, refill the radiator with a mix of water and coolant. Follow the vehicle's specifications for the correct type of mix ratio. To remove any air pockets, start the engine with the radiator cap off and let the engine run until it reaches operating temperature. Watch for the coolant level to drop as the air escapes out of the system and top it up as needed. Finally, replace the radiator cap after everything's reassembled. Check for leaks. Start the engine and let it run for just a few minutes. Then inspect the hose connections for any signs of leaking coolant. Next up, the exhaust system. Here, we're all ears for the odd noises. Any rattling sounds could be a sign of loose parts. Keep your eyes peeled for rust or holes too. You definitely don't want any of those. These are more than just cosmetic issues. They can actually be real hazards. Use a flashlight for better visibility, especially in the hard to see areas. Before attempting any repairs, ensure the vehicle is securely elevated using a jack and axle stands and that the exhaust is cool to touch. If the issue is a loose part like a clamp or a bracket, simply tightening it might solve the problem. However, if there is significant rust or holes in the pipes, you may need to replace sections of the exhaust. To identify the right replacement parts, first measure the diameter of your existing system. This ensures that the new section will fit properly. Also, note the length of the section that needs replacing. It is important to match both the diameter and the length accurately. If there are any bends in the exhaust, look for a part that matches these shapes. When in doubt, refer to the vehicle's manual or consult an online parts catalogue specific to your car's make and model for precise specifications. To remove the damaged sections, loosen the clamps or bolts holding the damaged sections in place. You may need penetrating oil to ease the process if the parts are rusted. Carefully remove the sections and any gaskets or seals. Fit the new exhaust sections into place, ensure it aligns correctly with the rest of the system, replace any gaskets to ensure a good seal, and tighten the clamps or bolts securely. After installation, start your engine and listen for any leaks. A hissing or popping noise could indicate a leak, which usually means connections aren't tight enough or the gasket isn't sealing properly. Give the entire system one last inspection to ensure everything is secure. Look out for any parts that may be hanging too low or close to any other components. Now, let's check the unsung heroes of safety, the brake pads. Thin pads, thinner than a credit card, that's a cue for a change. To change your brakes, before starting, make sure your car is parked on a level surface and the parking brake is engaged and the engine is cooled down. Loosen the lug nut slightly before lifting the car with a jack. I know we say about jacking it up on the jacking points, but this car has got side skirts on and the access to them isn't the best, and I don't want to ruin the side skirts, so I'm currently jacking this up on the rear differential. Secure the jack with jack stands for safety. Fully remove the lug nuts and take off the wheels to access the brake caliper and pads. The brake pads are located within the caliper. If the pads are less than a 1/4 inch thick or around about 3 mm, it's time for a replacement. Now, when choosing brake pads, there are a few key things to consider. First, the size of the pad needs to match your original vehicle specification. This information can easily be found in your car's manual or by looking up the make, model and year of your car online. You can also enter your car's make, model and year on ifndautoparts to find the right part for your car. There are also different types of brake pads, such as ceramic, metallic and organic, each offering different performance characteristics. Ceramic pads, for example, are known for being quieter and cleaner, while metallic pads may offer better performance but also can be noisier. Also, consider the brand reputation for quality and durability. My personal favourite is a Ferodo DS 2500 pad. Absolutely fantastic. It's often best to choose a brand known for reliable performance in braking systems. Today I'm going to be using Mintex pads, really great for everyday driving on my Skyline, which hasn't got too much power, just a nice all-round pad. To access the pads you'll need to remove the calipers. It's usually held in by a couple of bolts. Once loosened, slide the caliper off the disc, but be sure to support the caliper properly so as not to strain the brake hose. On my car, I've got braided hose lines. These are quite expensive, we don't want to break those. So obviously you've seen me take off literally 2 bolts and there was 2 clips, retaining clips to hold in the pins. And that's it. You can do this yourself easily with limited tools. That was just a 19mm socket and I've just pulled the clips out by hand. Remove the old pads from the caliper. It is good practice to check the brake disc for wear at this point. If it's got pitting in it, we do not want to use it. It can cause vibrations through the vehicle. So this car, obviously it had a lot smaller brakes on it. It's been converted to have a 350Z caliper with a 350Z disc as well, so it's actually got an adapter bracket on it. I recently changed the pads, but I just wanted to check that they were okay. They've got a bit of wear slightly more on this side, so I'm just going to put them back in the same way they went in, pop a bit of copper grease on the back and slide them into place, and we're all good. So next we're going to insert the new pads into the caliper. They should snap or slide into place. Before you fit the caliper back over the new thicker pads, you'll need to compress the caliper piston. This can be done with a C-clamp or a caliper piston tool. Once the piston is compressed, slide the caliper back over the disc and the new pads. Reinstall the caliper and tighten the bolts. Perform the same process for each wheel that needs new pads. After replacing the pads, check the brake fluid level in the master cylinder reservoir. Changing the pads can cause the fluid level to rise. Before driving, press the brake pedal a few times to ensure the pads are seated correctly. Start with a slow test drive to ensure everything is working properly. Now onto fluids. Alright, right off the bat it is important to check your oil. This is the blood of the engine and everyone forgets and no one thinks about it. It's a crucial step of the maintenance of your vehicle. Every month or before a longer road trip, it is a good idea to get under and check the level of your oil. Low levels can lead to engine problems if they are left unchecked. Especially if you're driving an older vehicle, one that's maybe been over 100,000 miles around the world, it might burn off extra oil over time. If you don't, it can lead to a buildup of sludge in the engine. This can cause the oil level to drop too low, resulting in excessive wear on the bearings. Over time, this lack of proper lubrication can lead to severe engine damage, ultimately causing it to fail. And you definitely do not want that. Here's how to check your oil. Ensure your vehicle is parked on a level ground with the engine off. Put the transmission in park, or if it's a manual, just make sure it's in neutral. And make sure the parking brake is engaged. Ensure the engine is cool before checking your oil. Checking oil with a cool engine ensures a precise reading because hot oil expands and may give a false indication of the actual level. Plus, it prevents burns from hot components under the bonnet. The dipstick can be found in the engine bay. Most vehicles have a yellow or an orange dipstick handle with an oil can symbol located on it. It's usually easy to find and looks something like this. Pull the dipstick out, wipe it clean with a rag or a paper towel, and you'll see two lines with words like full and add on the tip. Insert the dipstick back in, then pull it out again. If the oil level is between the two lines or at the full mark, you're good. If it's at or below the mark, it's time to add some oil. Now, if your oil is transparent or an amber colour, it does not need to be changed as it is newer oil. Whereas old oil becomes dark brown or black and you will need an oil change, which you can do yourself. Before filling up, check to make sure you have the correct oil, as using the wrong one can cause issues with the engine. Check the owner's manual or service stickers to see the correct type of oil for your vehicle. Occasionally, this information is also marked on the oil cap. There are three types of engine oils: conventional, synthetic blend, and full synthetic. Conventional oil is derived directly from crude oil with minimal processing. It's a solid all-rounder but may not offer the superior performance of synthetic varieties. Synthetic blend oils are a mix of conventional and synthetic oils. They offer better protection and performance than the conventional oils and can be a cost-effective upgrade for your engine. Fully synthetic oils, which is what I'm talking about, that is the premium grade stuff you are looking for if you've got a sports car or anything like that. Full synthetic oils are engineered with high-tech additives to provide the highest level of performance. They flow easier in the cold weather, keep your engine cleaner, and protect it against the extreme heat. Now, let's crack the code on these bottles. The viscosity grade, you'll see numbers like 5W30, 10W40, or even 0W20. These numbers tell you how the oil performs in different temperatures. The first number of the W, which stands for winter, indicates the oil's fluidity at cold temperatures. A lower number means it flows better in the cold, making your winter startups a breeze. The W shows how the oil behaves at the engine's operating temperature. Basically, how thick or thin is it? A higher number means the oil stays thicker at a higher temperature, which can be ideal for engines operating under the hot sun or heavy loads. You can also find your oil on ifndautoparts, check stock with your local supplier and pick it up by click and collect. If you need to add oil, locate the oil filler cap on top of the engine. Make sure you don't put it in the water. You definitely don't want that. Using a funnel helps to prevent the oil from spilling down the engine, which can cause smoke or a burning smell when the engine heats up. If you unscrew the cap, place the funnel in the opening and pour the correct type and amount of oil specified for your vehicle. For instance, this Golf GTD takes 4.5 litres of 5W30. If you're not sure how much to put in, take it slow and just let the oil settle and recheck with the oil level dipstick. It's best to add oil gradually. Overfilling it can be harmful to the engine. If you put too much in, it's not a good thing. After you've finished pouring your engine oil in, remove the funnel, securely tighten the cap, back on and wipe away any spills with a clean rag. After you've added your oil, wait a few minutes and then check it again. The oil level doesn't need to be at the highest mark for a safe operation, but it should be between the two lines. Is your oil black, or are you due an oil change? Then it is time to change your oil. Make sure you check the owner's manual for the type of oil and the timing intervals for when you should change your oil, and stay within those guidelines. You'll need spanners or a ratchet, an oil filter tool which comes in either a belted or a socket. You'll need a new oil filter, motor oil, a funnel and a drain pan. Always wear gloves and eye protection for safety. Definitely don't want oil in your eye, it's not nice. If you're missing some of these, you can also find them on ifndautoparts. You have the option to change your oil when it's cold or after letting the car run for about 5 to 10 minutes. Me personally is the latter. When it's warm, the oil flows out more smoothly, making the process so much quicker. However, changing the oil cold is perfectly fine too, it's not a problem, and it eliminates the risks of burns. You don't want to burn your hand on anything under the car. If you choose to warm up the engine first, allow the car to cool down just for a short period afterwards, just to ensure you're safe handling. When underneath, ensure you drain the oil from the engine and not the transmission fluid from the gearbox, which can be a common error if you've not got any brains. When jacking up your vehicle, you want to be on a solid surface level and ensure the correct jacking points are being used on the vehicle. You don't want to crush the sills or make a mess of your nice shiny car. If you're not sure where your jacking points are on the vehicle, check your owner's manual and make sure to block off the rear tyre with a chock or some wood so the car doesn't roll back. If it's an automatic, put it in park. If it's in a manual, just put it in first gear and it won't roll forward, and also put your handbrake on. Get your jack in place, make sure it's underneath the vehicle in the right jacking point. In this case, on this Golf, it's got some marks on the frame which show you where the strongest jacking points are. Once you've jacked the vehicle up, we want to put the axle stands underneath, and then we're going to lower it down very slowly, ensuring there is enough room for your oil pan to be able to drain the oil from the engine. So, before you remove your sump plug to drain the oil, make sure your pan is in position to catch the oil. Make sure you move the drain plug counterclockwise. You do not want to tighten it up accidentally and damage the pan. While your oil's draining, have a look at your sump plug. Just want to check the threads that are nice and clean on there, and you also want to check your gasket or washer to make sure it's in good shape. It is good practice to change your sump plug when you do a service. Sometimes you'll have a bit of a metal gasket, and it's a good idea to replace these also every time you do an oil change. Now your oil is emptied out of the engine, we're going to clean up the sump plug. We're going to reinstall it with our fingers. We don't want to be getting a socket or a spanner on there right away. Tighten it up finger tight, and then we're going to crank it up with a spanner. You don't want to over tighten it, as you could damage the oil pan, and that is a whole world of hell you do not want to get into. We now want to locate the oil filter. Obviously you're looking for an oil filter housing, which is in this case in black, and it is on the front of the engine. Some are near the side of the engine or the back of the engine. Just take a look round. Two types of oil filters. We have a canister type, or we have the cartridge filter, which this vehicle has. With a canister type, you're going to make sure you lubricate the seal on the outside with oil, otherwise it's going to be difficult to remove at a later date. When you're installing these types of filters, once it's snug, you give it another quarter turn, and that is it. Now that you've drained the oil and changed the filter, it's time to add brand new fresh oil. Open the oil cap and use a funnel to fill with oil. Once completed, replace and secure the cap. Start the car for 10 to 15 seconds to get the oil where it needs to be around the engine. After shutting the engine off, let it sit for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're going to check the dipstick. If the oil level is a little low, add a little bit more oil. Once you've let the oil settle, then recheck. Finally guys, remember to properly dispose of your oil and your old oil filter. The oil picks up super hazardous materials when used in engines, and it can pollute the water and soil. To get rid of your old used motor oil, just pour it into an oil container and take it to your local recycling facility. Now, let's talk coolant. It is a crucial mixture that prevents freezing and engine damage. Coolant helps your engine stay cool by absorbing the heat. This is especially important in hot weather like our summer, I wish, or when you're driving for long periods of time. Overheating can cause serious engine damage. It can cause damage such as blowing your water pump, your head gasket and cylinder head. So keeping the system topped up is really important. Another benefit of using The proper coolant is it protects your engine from rust and corrosion. As with the oil, ensure your vehicle is on a flat surface. Transmission is in park, or if you're in a manual, you want it in neutral, and the parking brake is engaged. Make sure the engine is cooled before opening the radiator cap. You do not want hot coolant spraying out. Once you open your bonnet, locate the coolant reservoir. The reservoir cap is labelled as coolant. It's really easy to find. If you can't find it, check your owner's manual or YouTube, or watch one of our guides. The owner's manual also specifies the correct coolant. As for this car, it's a Golf GT D Mark 7. It is running G12 coolant or G13. On the side of the coolant reservoir, it has an L for low and an F for full markings, and the tank is translucent so you can see your coolant really easily without opening it up. If the fluid is close to or below the L marking, then you need to top it up. In this car, it has a sensor, so it would advise you that your coolant is low. Again, before you do that, you need to make sure the engine is cold. You do not want too much pressure due to the heat built up inside spraying all over you. Once you've removed the lid of your coolant reservoir, we want to bring it up to the F. And then once you have let the system warm up, it might drop down a little bit. Just keep an eye on that. You might need to fill it up. There are several different types of coolant, each with their own unique properties and purposes, specifically for your car. IAT, Inorganic Additive Technology. This is your traditional green coolant, often used in older models. It's known for its silicates that protect metal parts from corrosion. OAT, Organic Acid Technology, commonly found in a variety of colours like orange or red, yellow. Oat coolants are typically used in newer car models like this Mark 7 GTD. These are designed for longer life and typically don't need changing as often. HOAT, Hybrid Organic Acid Technology. That is a blend of IAT and OAT. This type offers the benefits of both. It's often found in yellow or turquoise and is used in a variety of vehicles, including some European and Korean models. So how do you pick the right one? The key is in your owner's manual. Manufacturers specify the coolant that best suits the engine materials and design. Remember, the manufacturers build the engines to specific coolant and oil types. Using the wrong type of coolant can lead to issues like corrosion or inadequate freezing and overheating protection. To change the coolant, first find the drain plug at the bottom of the radiator. Place a drain beneath it and open up the plug to let the old coolant flow out. Be cautious as the fluid might still be warm. Dispose of the coolant by putting it again, like your oil, in another container and taking it to your local recycling facility. After draining, you might need to flush the system to remove any old residue. You can fill the radiator with water, just let the engine run to operating temperature and then drain it again to remove any corrosion, anything that's built up inside the system. You can repeat this if needed until the water runs clear. And then once the system is drained and flushed, fill the radiator back up with brand new fresh coolant and ensure it matches the type specified in the owner's manual. Some vehicles may require a 50-50 mix of coolant and water. This vehicle is just straight out of the bottle, straight in, which is what we like. No messing about, you don't have to measure anything, but some do have a different ratio, but like I said, this is a pre-mixed coolant. Leave the radiator cap off and start the engine. We want to let it run until it reaches operating temperature. We're trying to bleed the system of any air. This process allows the air to escape from the cooling system. You may see the coolant level drop as the air bubbles kind of come out of the expansion tank. This is a good thing. It's bleeding the system of any air, and then eventually you can top it up once the system stabilizes. After the engine cools, check the coolant level and top it off if necessary. Okay, once you've finished that, you want to check the system for any leaks. Just make sure it's not leaking from anywhere. You want to check the plug and reservoir cap. The job is done. Brake fluid. This is one critical fluid for safety, I'm telling you. You want to check your brakes. That's so Yorkshire, that. Check brakes, lad. How's your pedal feeling? Is that an hard day? Pressing it down harder than usual, or you're finding that you need to pump the pedal to get a response, it could be a sign that your brake fluid naturally needs attention. And if the brake pad is flashing on your dash, it's time for a check. You need to pop the bonnet and let's find the brake fluid reservoir. Usually it's near the driver's side firewall. Before you open it up, give the cap and a reservoir a good wipe. It's not very nice stuff, brake fluid, and it makes your hands itch. You probably want to put on some gloves. Okay, so take a gander at your fluid level against the reservoir marking. If it's below minimum, you will need to top it up with a specified fluid from your manual. If your brake fluid looks darker than apple juice or iced tea, it's probably time for a change. This stuff should be changed every 2 years as it absorbs moisture over time, reducing its effectiveness. For those of you with anti-lock brakes, remember, some ABS systems require you to pump the brakes before opening the reservoir. Now, gently open the reservoir cap, pour the fluid in steadily, be careful not to overfill it. The level should be between minimum and maximum lines. Close the cap securely when you're done. Be careful not to let any brake fluid drip onto your car. It's corrosive, it can damage your paint, and it's also flammable. Changing the brake fluid, now that's a bit more involved. It's a job that needs precision because brake fluid is crucial for safety. So obviously today we're not actually going to change the brake fluid on this system because this Golf has had brand new discs and pads all round with new fluid. We are topping up the brake fluid on the Golf though. We have noticed a little bit low. There's .2, .3, .4, .5. You can't mix them. Just check in your manual on that, you know what dots you're on then. Last but not least, let's talk about something my fiance always forgets to do, and that is top up the windshield washer fluid. It is more than just water in your bottle. You don't want to put water in it because it ends up smelling stagnant. It is to make sure that you can clearly, visibly see on the road. If you're in summer months like we are in now and you've got bugs on the screen, it is great for getting bugs off the screen. Look for the cap with the windshield/water symbol on it. Filling it up is really straightforward. Just open the cap, get your washer fluid, open it up and pour it in. When selecting your fluid, you can sometimes get them with antifreeze properties if you are living in colder areas. Pour it in until it's near the top but not overflowing, and be careful not to confuse it with the coolant. That is something you definitely don't want to do. If you notice the spray isn't working or is slightly weaker, check the pump and the nozzles for clogs. A simple pin, just poke it in the end of your jets and that can actually fix the problem. If not, you can also put a blast of compressed air, kind of just spray that into the end of the jet and it can usually fix the issue. Quite a lot actually, more often than not anymore now. I think it's coming of age. Anyway, I think it's time. Is it time for a sit down wee? So you can just scroll the iFind app. Right, I'm gonna go and brew up. I'll see you in a minute. All right, let's talk about filters, pal. Starting with air filter. It's a little part with a big job. It keeps the air going into your engine, but not only going into it, it's making sure it's clean, filtering out any dust and debris. A clog filter can strangle your engine's performance and mess with your fuel efficiency. Pop the bonnet and look for the air filter housing. Usually it's a black plastic box on most modern cars. You'll find it where the air duct meets the engine and looks like this with the air box at the far end. So examine the air box and also the mass airflow system. Most modern vehicles have one of these, and check the fastener type. Some require no tools and others commonly use a screwdriver or a Torx bit. This is a Golf Mark 7. We need to unfasten the clips and screws to access the air filter. There's quite a lot on this airbox. Loosen the fasteners on the air filter housing and move the airbox upper section up and off the box. The snorkel may hamper this, so be careful. With your free hand, lift the air filter out and ensure there is no dirt left at the bottom. Hold the old filter up to a light and assess to see if it's dirty. This one is being replaced with a budget filter because it is actually serviced more than manufacturer specification because the car does a lot of miles. Choosing the right replacement air filter for your car is crucial for maintaining the engine and the health and performance of the vehicle. There are several different types of air filters, each with unique features suited to different driving conditions and preferences. There are a number of filters from performance inductions to recommended specific filters such as this one. After replacing the filter, start your engine and check that it's functioning correctly and ensure there are no issues. Now let's focus on your car's cabin filter. This isn't something that they generally change in a service, but it is good practice to replace it so you don't have that horrible damp smell in the vehicle. It is also a shield for blocking dust and pollen and other nasties from getting into the cabin, so it's really good practice to change this filter. The location of the filter can vary depending on your car's make and model. It is typically found behind the glove box or under the dashboard. In some vehicles, it could be under the bonnet near the windshield. As this is a Golf Mark 7, it is underneath the glove box In an older one like a Mark IV, it is in the cabin. To find the exact location, you can just have a quick check in your owner's manual to find out. To check it, you might need to open the glove box all of the way, look for the tabs or screws that might be holding it in place. Gently remove them and you should be able to access the filter. Slide it out and inspect it. If it's clogged with debris and has a musty smell, it is definitely time for a new one. Today we're going to be using a Bosch one, which is a genuine OEM filter. It is not just filtering out dust, it also filters out pollen, smoke and other pollutants from the air entering into your interior. When installing the new cabin air filter, ensure it fits snugly in place. The filter should sit flush and inside its housing with no gaps around the edges, as improper fitting can reduce the effectiveness of the filter. Then reassemble any parts you removed to access the filter, and that's how you keep the air inside your car as fresh as a daisy. Regularly changing your cabin filter, especially if you're driving in dusty or urban areas, it can make a big difference to the air quality inside your car. Next up is a fuel filter. This is a critical component that honestly I see so many cars that overlook servicing this part. This little gem is literally the first line of defense to filtering out impurities from the fuel. A clean filter means a happy engine, but a clogged one can lead to poor performance and reduced fuel economy. It can also make your car run very lumpy and cause serious issues. The location of your fuel filter can vary. In many modern cars, it's part of the fuel pump assembly inside the fuel tank. However, in some models, you might find it along the fuel line. This is usually under the car or near the front of the engine. When it comes to replacing your fuel filter, there are a few common types you might encounter. We've got the hose clamp filters. These have rubber fuel lines attached directly to the filter and are secured with fuel hose clamps. They are common in older models. To determine when it is time to change your fuel filter, consult your owner's manual for service intervals, typically every 30 to 50,000 miles or about every 5 years. Symptoms of a clogged fuel filter include difficult to run, rough idling, sluggish on acceleration, and decreased fuel economy. For most fuel filters, you'll need to relieve the fuel pressure before starting. This can be done by removing the fuel pump fuse or relay and running the engine until it cuts out. Always wear safety goggles and have a fire extinguisher at hand when working with a fuel system. Remember, the installation is generally the reverse of the removal. After replacing the filter, check for leaks by starting the engine and observing the connections. If you're not comfortable with the process, it is always best to consult a professional mechanic. Inspecting and replacing the fuel filter is key to maintaining your vehicle's performance and longevity. With the right tools and knowledge, you can ensure your engine gets clean fuel, free from contaminants. Keeping these filters in check is a key to your car's health. Obviously, like myself, I'm into my cars and I have a performance vehicle, and I regularly check my fuel filter along with all of the other filters we've just spoke about. Check your air filter every 12 to 15,000 miles, especially if you're driving in dusty areas. Your cabin and fuel filters have their own schedules, so please check your manual for the specifics. Have you ever been caught out with a car that just won't start? Oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. Maybe because the headlights were left on overnight, or it's just about time to say goodbye to your old battery. Let's start by figuring out if your battery's had its day. Now, most, but not all car batteries have this nifty little feature called an eye, or a charge indicator. This little gem shows you 3 different colours. Green means your battery is in good nick. It's charged and ready to go. If it's black or clear though, it's a heads up that your battery might need charging, or worse, it might be time for a new one. For a precise health check, you can get yourself a voltmeter or a multimeter. You're aiming for a reading of around 12.6 volts on a healthy battery. Anything below 12.4 is deemed that it needs to have a charge. If it's showing 12 volts or lower, you're looking at a battery that's likely on its last legs and needs replacing. When it comes to picking a new battery, this is heavy. There is a bit to consider. You've got different types like lead acid, AGM and lithium ion. The one you need depends on your car's requirements, which you will find in your owner's manual or your current battery. Look out for the specs like the CCA, which is the cold cranking amps. That's the power the battery provides for starting your vehicle. And then there's the BCI, which is the group size or the Battery Council International Standard. It's a bit of a mouthful, which that tells you about the physical size and the terminal positions. Let's not forget about the terminal types. You've got the common top post terminals, those round ones sticking out at the top of the battery. Make sure your new battery matches the type of terminals that you currently have. Okay, want to make sure your engine is off, cool, and the keys are well out of the way. and it's now time to find where your battery is. In most motors, it's under the bonnet. In some cars though, it could be in the boot or under the driver's seat. Like if you have a Nissan Skyline GTR, it is in the boot. If you've got the GTT, it is in the engine bay. You want to start by disconnecting the negative terminal. That's the one with the minus sign on. It's important to do this first to avoid any short circuits. Then move on to the positive terminal, usually covered up with a red plastic cap and marked with a plus sign. Once you've got the old battery out, check for any corrosion and give it a clean if needed. Pop the new battery in, making sure it's snug and secure. Positively, this one doesn't need changing, so we're going to put it back in the vehicle. Give everything a good check to ensure it's all tight, but not over tightened. Fire up the engine just to make sure everything is A-OK and running smoothly. And once you've got your old battery, make sure you get rid of it the correct way, and that is taking it to a local recycling centre. Now we're shining a spotlight on essential safety features, our car lights. From navigating through the busy streets of London to ensuring visibility on those dark country lanes, our lights keep us safe and seen. So let's dive into how to check and change them, covering all the nitty-gritty first. First, let's check the headlights and parking lights. Switch them all on, take a stroll around your car and look out for the brightness and consistency of all bulbs. Any signs of dimming or flickering, that's your cue for a bulb change. For turn signals and brake lights, you might need an extra pair of eyes or an extra person to press the brakes and the indicators whilst you're outside the vehicle. Have a mate who is with you flick on the indicators and press the brake pedal. Or if you're flying solo, get a brick from your local council estate and stick it on your brakes. So finding the correct bulb can be a bit of a pain. You can check your vehicle manual or you can check the ifndautoparts website. It's important to match your bulbs for the optimal performance. Bulbs come in different colours and intensities, so you want to make sure that it meets the legal standards within your country. Choosing the correct bulbs for your car is more than a matter of fit, it's about ensuring optimal performance and safety. Here's what you need to consider. It's always important to check your bulb's wattage. You don't want to use a bulb with a high wattage or in excess of your manufacturer's specified one, because you might melt your headlight and that is not a good day. New model cars has two types of bulbs. Generally, either a xenon or you're going to be going for a halogen. If they're a xenon bulb, they don't usually burn out that often, so it's best to take it to a professional to get the correct bulb. Generally, the front of the vehicle is exactly the same. You will locate the bulbs from the back of the housing. You need to twist off or remove an access panel, and then you'll be able to get access to the bulbs to replace. Now we're going to have a visibility check. We're going to take our attention to the wiper blades. This Golf has had these wiper blades recently changed, but we're going to show you how easy it is to do it yourself. When it comes to changing your wiper blades, we've put this vehicle into the service mode, which was ignition on and off. Press the wiper stalk. It has put it into this position. We want to make sure that we've got the correct wipers. These have recently been changed, so we're not actually going to change them. But you all have to do, press this tab and lift it out. Put your new one in, so opposite way, back in and down. There is different types of wipers. These are the aero wipers, but you can check on ifndautoparts or online or in your manufacturer's manual which ones you require. And don't forget, one is longer than the other. Don't put them on the wrong sides. Now let's move on to something that directly impacts your car's safety and performance. Tyres. It's important to have the correct tyre pressure and tread depth. Maintaining the correct tyre pressure is crucial. It affects your car's handling, fuel efficiency, and most importantly, your safety on the road. Check your car's owner's manual or the sticker on the driver's door jamb for the recommended tyre pressures. It is typically measured in PSI, pounds per square inch. The tyre pressure can also be different on the front and back tyres, so keep that in mind when checking your tyre pressures. This tyre needs 35 PSI. So it's important to keep your tyre pressures at the correct pressure. You can do this in most service stations, but it's handy to have your own tyre pressure gauge in the car just in case the fuel station ones are not available. If it isn't possible, it is a good rule to add 2 PSI to the manufacturer's specified tyre pressure. So in this instance, it'd be 37 PSI just to account for the increase in temperature and pressure. Remove the valve cap from one of your tyres and firmly press the gauge onto it into the valve stem. The gauge will display the current tyre pressure. Compare it to the recommended tyre pressure. If it's too low, attach the air hose to the tyre valve and increase the tyre pressure to the correct level. Once completed, put your valve cap back on. Most modern cars now come with a TPMS, which is a tyre pressure monitoring system. This will really help you to ensure you keep to the correct tyre pressures. The system won't alert you until the tyre pressure drops below the recommended amount, and it's easy to keep on top and maintain correct tyre pressures. You can actually go into the car's system and set these straight after filling up your tyres to reset the pressure monitor. Now, tyre tread depth. This little detail plays a massive role in keeping you safe on the road, especially when navigating in the wet and tricky conditions. We've got a cool little tool here which can measure your tyre depth. You literally just push it into the tyre. And it's a brand new tyre, it's at 7mm. If you've got low tyre tread, then you're risking loss of control, and that is a gamble you do not want to take. Okay, so another way is you can check your tyre tread wear indicators, which are these little blocks in between the tyres. If they're getting low, down to this, you haven't got much life left in the tyre. You'll spot them near the TWI letter embossed on the tyre sidewall. When your tyre tread wears down to the level of these bars, it is a sign you definitely need to replace your tyre. If it is above 3mm, it is a good gauge that your tyre is above legal limits. Anywhere between 3 and 1.6, this is a caution zone. Your tyres are approaching the legal limit and will soon need replacing. You then need to start planning for new tyres. As traction in the wet conditions can start to diminish, anything below 1.6mm is a danger zone. In the UK, 1.6mm is the legal minimum. Any tyres below this limit are just not safe. If you get pulled over with below this legal limit, you can get fines. It'll also reduce your traction significantly, increasing the risk of aquaplaning. To get an accurate measurement with your tool, you need to check the tread depth in several places around each tyre. Tyres can wear unevenly, especially if you're like me and you drive a lowered car. You can sometimes get camber wear on the inside edge. A quick and easy method for everyone in the UK, if you don't have one of these tools, is get a 20p coin, slide it into the tread groove, and if you can see the outer band of the coin, it's definitely time to start shopping for some tyres. Across the pond, the Americans use a penny. If you can see all of Lincoln's head, those tyres will need replacing. And if you're in Australia, a 20-cent coin does the same trick. If you can see the entire bill of the platypus, it's time for new tyres, mate. Don't ignore those sidewalls. If you like my missus and you bang it round every curb round the local area, you need to check out for cuts, bulges or gouges. These are a sign that indicate the internal wall is damaged and is definitely a red flag, and it's time to replace if necessary. Also, while you're at it, check your spare tyre to ensure that that is within the date range that it should be in, because some of them have been in there for many years and should be replaced after a certain amount of years. And remember, maintaining the right tyre pressure isn't just about avoiding flats, it's about fuel efficiency, safety and extending the life of your tyres. Check it monthly or before a long trip, and always rotate your tyres. Rotating your tyres isn't just about extending the life of the tyres, it's about maintaining a smooth ride, whether you're tackling winding roads or cruising down the motorway. One thing you need to know is if your tyres are directional or non-directional. I actually found out this the other day by mistake. I'd put my tyres on the wrong side and had to take all 4 wheels off, which was a pain in the neck, but at least they're now facing the correct way to push the water away from the vehicle. When rotating them, keep them on the same side of the vehicle, moving them front to back. Non-directional tyres, they can be moved to any position in the vehicle. This flexibility allows for various rotation patterns, such as front to back, side to side or diagonal. Okay guys, so we have finished everything on the car. It'd be rude not to give it a wash. We've done a full health check on it. Tyres, all the fluids, we've done new filters. So we're just going to come to the local car wash, give it a nice wash down, and yeah, we'll crack on. It's just eating the money. Mate, I'm not even joking, it's just eating it. There's some Turkish money up here, should we try that one? Ain't you messing? Bit of a detour, obviously the machine wasn't working, so we're just going to crack out the Karcher and we're going to give it a wash. Start with a pre-wash, just going to give it a bit of a... This just basically eats into any bugs. Since it's summer at the moment, there's lots of flies on this front end. Then we're going to snow foam it, rinse it and hand wash it. Yeah, so I'm just using the hog hair brush by Chemical Guys. This just helps get any dirt out of like the seals, the rubber seals and stuff, and it doesn't scratch your vehicle. Okay, it's quite a hot day, we're trying to do this in the shade. I'm just going to give it a quick wet up and then I'm going to snow foam it. The reason we rinse the car first is because
you get a build-up of grime on the car, and you don't want to wash that into your paintwork and create swirl marks. So we're going to rinse it off. As I said, we're going to snow foam to pull even more of the heavier grime off. Then we go into a hand wash. Okay, so I like to use a 2 bucket method. Some people use a 3. One for the wheels, one for the body, one for rinsing your mitt. Obviously a 2 is good enough if you've got a good grit guard. So we're just going to fill these up now. This one's a shampoo, this is a wash one. This one's going to be the rinse one. What I like to do while that's actually rinsing off with the snow foam, while it's dragging all the suds off, I like to put a bit of wheel cleaner on and do the wheels in this section now. While they're kind of wet and they've already got snow foam on it, we're using a high pH one as well, so that'll eat into any brake dust. Then just top it off with a bit of wheel cleaner, and yeah, should pull off quite a lot of the dirt. Really good brushes. So the car's had time to kind of drag all the grime off, and we're now going to rinse it all off, and then we're going to go to a nice hand wash just to get any bits off that obviously we couldn't get with the snow foam. Then we're going to dry it, and it's just a nice little quick safe wash. Pretty
All I need
should be pretty
this bubble
yeah
in there,
yeah
and it's
oh mate, yeah, it's pretty. Right guys, we've done our pre-wash, we've rinsed it off, and now we're going to go on to a nice hand wash with the 2 bucket method. Give it a rinse and a dry, and we're done. Do it for free. It's all about lubing up the panels. You want to keep the panels wet. You want as much suds on as possible, so if you're using a shampoo that's high suds like this, it gives a better chance of cleaning the panel without swirl marks. So this is a really basic wash. We're trying to be as safe as possible. We don't want any contaminants being swirled around in the paintwork. Obviously there's different levels of detail, and this is just a very, very basic, just the new standard on how to wash your car with, you know, reducing the swirl marks within your paint. If you want to see anything else, like a more in-depth, like a full polish or how to polish panels, just drop us a comment below, and we can always get those videos knocked up for you so you can have a look into the more in-depth detailing. What's great about these towels is you can just put them on and just... We've cleaned the outside of the car. It's always good practice to clean the inside of the car. You don't want any rubbish rolling around going under the pedal. I'm one of those guys that just literally, I can't leave a can or anything in the vehicle. It has to go in the bin straight away. Like I said, on some of the videos we're going to go into more depth into actually detailing the inside and the outside of the vehicle. But once you've done that, you know, we're just going to put an air freshener in, make your car feel a nicer area, nicer place to be, smelling good, looking good, and it's fully serviced. So really happy how today went. We got the car back in its, you know, peak performance with fresh oil, fresh coolant, fresh filters, cabin filter, we've given it a wash, it's literally ready to go.
Found this guide handy, then I would really appreciate if you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the I Find Auto Parts channel. We've got so much more automotive videos to put out there, and I appreciate this is a very in-depth guide for a lot of basic things. If there's anything else you would like us to cover, drop a comment below, and we'll see you on the next one.